Now this video is going to be extremely useful and extremely beginner friendly if you guys are just starting off in your investing journey. That's because I'm going to share with you two different examples of tried and true long-term investment options and share with you what it would look like if you just invested only $5 per day into each of these long-term or $1,825 per year. Now even though as of right now for me personally it's almost my 10th year of dividend investing consistently, and as of right now my portfolio is worth well over $1.5 million and pays me around $104,000 per year in dividends. I still remember the early days of my investing journey, just investing what I had at the time, investing a little bit here, a little bit there, stacking more and more shares until of course I got the snowball growing. Now like I said, especially if you're newer to investing, this is going to be extremely valuable because I'm going to share with you the math, the numbers, and the strategy behind building out a long-term portfolio that has a chance to change your financial future long-term forever. Now if this interests you at all, make sure to stick around, drop a like down below, and let's get right into it. My A to Z dividend investing ebook has helped countless dividend investors get started with their journey, and my custom dividend tracker that I'm constantly using here on the channel has also helped so many investors stay on track and allow them to see their dividend income in real time. Well, today I have another treat for you guys. I'm not only going to offer you my A to Z dividend investing ebook and the custom dividend tracker, but also just for a short limited time, I'm going to be adding in my brand new weekly dividend blueprint ebook to show you how you can get started with weekly dividend ETFs and add this into your investing strategy. This offer is not going to last long, so go ahead and click the first link down below in my description, and you're going to get both ebooks and the custom dividend tracker bundle. But like I said, please act fast because this won't be around for long. Now let's get back into the video. Now yes, there are so many different ways to get to the end goal. There's so many different stocks and ETFs to get to the point to where you are financially free in the future, but I'm going to go through two of my favorite investment vehicles when it comes to this strategy altogether. Now the strategy I'm talking about is just simply investing a small amount of money long term and reinvesting all those dividends along the years. The Vanguard S&P 500 ETF, or VOO, is a perfect ETF that has the potential to do so, or at least since inception this ETF has done amazing as far as performance goes. Now this ETF invests in stocks in the S&P 500 index representing 500 of the largest US companies. Now because of the stocks that make up the S&P 500, this index has done amazing since inception, and like I mentioned earlier, the performance speaks for itself. VOO is up around 664% as far as return goes since inception. Now because VOO's performance and because what this ETF offers exposure to, that being the S&P 500, this could be a perfect example, a perfect opportunity to use as an investment vessel long term. It's not only the fact that VOO, like I mentioned earlier, has basically kept on trading up and to the right with a few blips historically. But even though VOO is much more of a growth-focused ETF, of course it offers exposure to the S&P 500, VOO does also pay a dividend around a 1.2% trailing 12-month dividend yield, so you are not going to get rich off of the cash flow from VOO today or tomorrow, but there is some nice dividend growth historically. A dividend growth is basically how much a stock or ETF or any investment pays you in dividends year over year over year. And simply put, this means that for investors that bought into VOO, for an example, around 10 or so years ago, they were getting paid around 90 cents, 95 cents, $1.10 per share per quarter. Now, about a decade later, the amount of income they receive from holding on to VOO and doing absolutely nothing else has almost doubled. So not only has something like VOO grown over time as far as price return goes, but the dividends have also been paying investors every single quarter and have gotten bigger over the years. Now, like I promised, I'm going to share with you the exact numbers of what it would look like if an investor potentially bought $1,000 only worth of VOO and spent $5 per day beyond that. Now I have all of VOO's estimated information inside of here: 1.2% initial yield, 7% expected annual dividend amount increase, 11% annual share price appreciation. Again, these are all just to be estimated, so take it with a grain of salt. But before I share with you the outcome of what this could look like over 30 years, the main point of this video is just to get the point across that you don't need to be a millionaire, you don't need to have hundreds of thousands of dollars or anything crazy at all to become an investor and to build long-term wealth if you just stick with it long enough. And even though a lot of you guys watching this video probably have a lot more than $5 a day to contribute to your portfolio, for those of you guys that don't, do not give up hope. It is still worth building long-term wealth in the stock market, in my opinion. So the numbers are in, and this is more or less how it would look. That $1,000 starting portfolio, year number one would pay you around $12 per year in dividends, but after those dividends are reinvested, and after that $5 per day invested into VOO also is reinvested, we're at almost $3,000 of principal and around $34 per year in dividends. Now, I never said this is going to be a get-rich-quick opportunity. This is going to take some years for the portfolio to really start to compound. But one of the coolest things about investing is that once the portfolio really starts to grow in size, it's going to grow even faster and faster from there. Now, by 10 years down the road, with just $5 per day invested into VOO and an initial $1,000 investment, again, very, very small relatively speaking, you're already at almost $30,000 of principal. 30 years down the road, based off these numbers, after 30 years of investing just $5 per day into VOO, I know it's kind of ridiculous. Later on in the future, hopefully we can all have more money to invest into VOO. We're still talking just shy of $500,000 in the markets. Another great example of building wealth long-term with the same exact long-term investing strategy is using something like SCHD, or my favorite dividend growth ETF, the Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF. Now, this ETF offers exposure to the Dow Jones US Dividend 100 Index, which is made up of tons of different dividend-oriented stocks that pay dividends but also have grown their dividends over time. Now, SCHD, as far as total return goes, has also been a powerhouse, offering investors almost 400% total return, and this is since around 2011. But the real superpower when it comes to the Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF is the fact that the ETF offers almost a 4% starting yield, around 3.85. But here's the real magical part. This ETF offers around an 11% dividend growth rate. Now, remember I shared with you guys a second ago the fact that dividend growth is basically how much more an ETF, a stock, or an investment pays you year over year over year. The crazy thing about SCHD is that it's paid investors so much more cash flow year over year over year since inception. Now, based on the fact that SCHD currently offers around a 3.75, 3.8% initial annual dividend yield, an 11% annual dividend amount increase is what we've seen since inception, and around 5% expected annual share price appreciation. Again, keep in mind all these numbers are just estimated. A $1,000 investment into SCHD and $5 per day beyond that. The outcome of this is going to be absolutely crazy because of that massive dividend growth rate. Again, is SCHD going to keep paying 11% more in dividends year over year over year for 30 years? I have absolutely no idea. But based off the numbers since inception, that $1,000 initial investment into this ETF long-term would compound and compound and compound into over $700,000 based off of these numbers. Now, if you guys choose to take away anything from this video, promise me it's the fact that over a long enough time frame, and if you stay with it long enough, investing gets easier and easier and easier because of the power of compound interest. So those are two high quality ETFs that could be potentially worth looking into for a long-term investment vehicle, SCHD and of course VOO, two tried and true ETFs that at least historically have done very, very well. Now, before I go, I do have one last question for you guys down below. When it comes to building wealth long-term, whether you're currently utilizing single stocks and or ETFs, what's your number one favorite vehicle that you're focusing on as of right now? Let me know in the comments down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to please drop a like on it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks as always for stopping by, and if you are interested in investing, make sure to check out these recent videos I posted right here.